If you happen to be a YouTube creator, you will have noticed that YouTube has started creating a lot more content around something called creator burnout. Creator burnout in YouTube is real. The pressure to keep an uploading schedule and stay relevant so that you can keep growing is intense. A lot of the content and articles that have been put out about creator burnout just focus on the burnout aspect of it. The overwhelm, the exhaustion, the malaise that comes with running your own business is already hard enough as it is. But YouTubers and other social media influencers also need to be camera ready, even when they feel like shit. All of this is definitely hard, but what I'm not seeing being addressed is the other side of creator burnout, which is the creative side of it. And this doesn't just apply to entrepreneurs or social influencers or YouTubers. This is for anyone that has to be creative and produce something on demand. What I want to talk about today is what happens when you feel like you can't be creative anymore. When it feels like you haven't had an original thought in forever, and no matter what you do, you can't seem to produce much of anything. Think writer's block. Pretty much anyone who has to be creative can get into a place where they get burned out and exhausted and they get blocked. This block wouldn't be such a big deal if it was just a hobby. No pressure to create anything, so you would just come back to it when you felt inspired. But usually you don't get blocked when you have a hobby because there's no pressure to create. And that is the catch-22, that if your job demands that you produce something creative and you can't just wait until you're inspired to come back and make something, that stress is more likely to cause you to feel blocked and burned out. Just like regular burnout, creator burnout is fueled by stress. And the more you feel like you have to produce something, the less creative you're going to feel. And then you're going to get more behind, which is going to stress you out more. One of the first things to do, which might be one of the hardest things for you to do, is to not force yourself to be creative. You are already stressed, and trying to bully yourself to come up with something creative will only push you further into that fight or flight mode, which actually reduces your ability to both think logically and creatively. In order for anybody to be creative, they need to feel a sense of psychological safety. This is the sense that you are in a safe place where all ideas are welcome and that you're not going to be made fun of because you came up with a stupid idea. When you're blocked, you tend to be frustrated, which leads to more negative self-talk. You start shooting down your ideas and calling yourself names and saying that you're never going to come up with anything good. All of which makes it harder to ever come up with anything good. So take some time away from worrying about the worth of the ideas and just let the ideas be. Have a brainstorming session where you write down anything and everything that comes to your mind without making any judgments about the quality of the ideas. It's the whole don't edit while you're writing mentality, so that you're not shooting down your ideas or judging them before they're even fully formed. You can try brainstorming one of two ways. Pick the one that sounds the most fun and the least stressful. One is to have no time limit. Just sit down for a while, write down whatever comes to mind. Leave it open, be breezy about it, zero pressure. This one might work for you if you find deadlines incredibly stressful. Give yourself the luxury of doing nothing else but being creative for a little while and see what happens. The other way is to give yourself a relatively short time period, say 10 minutes, to write down everything that comes to your mind about a particular topic. Sometimes making the time limit really short kind of forces you to accept whatever ideas come to your mind. Then at the end, you can look down your list and pick the one that excites you the most, and then you can start fleshing that idea out. If sitting alone with a blank page and a pen or that damn blinking cursor stresses you out, then try doing a completely different activity that allows your mind to wander. Something easy that isn't stressful, but also isn't completely mentally consuming. I would recommend that you avoid technology here. We are looking for you to give yourself space for your mind to wander, not for you to completely check out because you're scrolling. If you happen to have a hobby that is not in the arena where you need to be creative, then that is a great choice here. If you are a graphic designer that never makes time to work on your sewing, or you're a YouTube creator that loves to draw, then now is the time to get back to those things. Just pick something that doesn't demand your full attention so you have space to let your mind go. And if you find it's not going at all, which isn't a bad thing, a meditative state is a great way to let your mind rest, which can actually help you be creative. But for the purpose of this exercise, what you can do is give yourself a very open-ended statement, like, what would happen if? Or how might I? And then just see what happens. And if you feel like you don't have any hobbies like this, that's okay. A long hot shower or a relaxing walk are great spaces to allow your mind to wander. Next up is to spend time in your happy place. Now, my ultimate happy place is a hammock in St. Lucia where we went on our honeymoon, but obviously I don't get there very often. However, getting outside when it's nice is a good substitute, and it helps me relax and open up my mind. Sometimes just getting up a little earlier to enjoy a cool morning and the peace and quiet that comes from children still being in bed is enough for me to calm down and relax and be able to crank out one of these YouTube scripts. Your happy place could be a coffee shop or a bench in a park or in front of your favorite painting in a museum. If you can get outside in nature, it might have a better chance of helping you out. As one study did show that people who spent time in nature performed better on a creativity test than those that didn't. But for real, do whatever works for you. Next is to try feeding your brain. This is something I hear a lot about, particularly from authors, that you can't have output if you don't have some input. Creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum, and if all you do is be alone with your thoughts, it's pretty hard to find inspiration there. I am not saying that you should go out and look at what all of your competition is doing so that you can figure out what you ought to be making. What you consume may not even be directly related to what you're trying to create. For example, if you're a nonfiction writer, the problems that characters in a fiction book are having might be the inspiration for your next chapter. Watching movies can make your YouTube videos better. Browsing an art gallery could inspire the color scheme for the next web page that you have to create. To get inspired, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I find that guided watching is something that really helps me get inspired. Sure, I watch plenty of YouTube videos just for entertainment, just to enjoy them, but when I'm feeling stuck on something, I go in with the idea of looking just for something specific. I might be looking for their transitions or what storytelling techniques are they using that I find particularly engaging. When you go in looking for something specific, you look at things differently or you watch things differently, and it can help you see why you are enjoying this particular thing about that art. While you're going through, you can take notes on what you find that you're enjoying, and then you can go back and maybe you can combine certain aspects from different videos or different paintings or different web pages so that you can make the things that you found inspiring uniquely yours. Getting input like this from the outside world helps you to not be starting from that blank page that we were talking about earlier. If you're interested in more about this idea of garnering inspiration from others, then I highly recommend the book Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. Another way to get input for your output is by talking to a friend, so long as this is a psychologically safe friend for you. Tell them about your idea and where you're stuck. You never know what someone else might come up with or how they might have a completely different perspective than the way that you were looking at it. Even if they don't have much to add, just talking about something out loud often gives us a different perspective and can sometimes bring a lot of clarity that just sitting around thinking about it never did. Another key to opening up your creativity is through novel experiences. I definitely feel that a lot of the people that have gotten creatively burned out recently are struggling because we haven't had access to these novel experiences over the last year and a half. Being stuck at home and living Groundhog Day over and over and over is not really conducive to creativity. And while a lot of us still are not in a place to be taking amazing trips to countries we've never seen before, there are still some ways to introduce novelty into your life. For example, finding a new outdoor space to explore is a great way to combine the nature aspect from earlier and trying something new. But seriously, it could be something as simple as picking a food that you like and trying one of the bajillion recipes that are out there on the internet. Or even try driving a new route to a place that you go frequently. This forces you to keep your eyes open and to pay attention, and you never know what you might see or hear that is going to inspire your next great idea. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you are new around here, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. If you're interested in more information on the burnout side of the creator burnout, then check out the end screen, because I'll have a couple of videos that I did on what it was like for me when I was burned out and what I did to get out of that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Social media influencers have to be dang it. To make something creative, you can't just wait until you want to. Sitting alone with a blank pen, very open-ended statement to work. For example, finding a new burned out and what I did to get out of it. There. Blah blah.